We have breaking bowling ball news. The Storm Equinox Solid was just announced on a Storm Bowling live stream with Hank Boomershine, Alex Hoskins, Rob Gottschall, Chris Vi hopped in. They all came in, talked about the Equinox Solid. This is a brand new asymmetrical solid bowling ball, and it looks very interesting. So they actually went into a lot of detail of where this ball fits, what it's going to do. So I want to be able to help you guys choose if this ball is good for your game or if this is a bowling ball that you can skip. Today's video is sponsored by No Thumb Nation. Big shout out to those guys. Make sure to go check them out. Link down below is in the description. But let's get into it. Make sure to subscribe, by the way, too. Storm Equinox Solid. You're seeing the colorway here. This one leaked a little bit early because it was an overseas release and it was on the USB-C approved list. But then Storm kind of teased at it a little bit this week that something new's coming. And boom, it is that overseas Equinox Solid that we saw, which is actually also stateside. This is really surprising because literally 7 days ago, the Hyperdrive Pearl got it or was released. So really weird to see another Storm bowling ball get released within a week or announced within a week. But let's get into what this thing does. Of course, that hype window is getting shorter and shorter in the bowling world. Equinox Solid, though, let's talk about the man of the hour, the ball of the hour. Equinox Solid marks the return of the Solarion AI core. So same exact Equinox core that everybody knows and loves, that house shot bowling ball, now paired with the next evolution of adhesion system tech, A2S. So this ball has A2S cover stock instead of A1S, which was on the Equinox. Now, the website doesn't really go into much detail of what the difference is between A1S and A2S. However, we are able to get a little bit out of the live stream that Storm ran. I love that they do these live streams. We need the same things from Brunswick and Motive because it helps a lot with knowing what the ball is. But let's scroll down a little bit. We have the usual numbers for flare potential, ball shape, hook length, etc., etc. What I did here is I actually grabbed on the right is going to be the Ion Max's numbers. Because the big comparison is going to be Ion Max versus Equinox Solid. What's really the difference? The chart really shows us exactly what we need. The Equinox Solid is longer and quicker. The Equinox Solid, according to Gottschall, is between the Ion Max and the Phase 2. There is a pretty big gap in there. People were hoping the Origin EX would fill that gap. It really didn't, unfortunately. It just was a little too weak, a little too close to that Phase 2. So now we have this ball that's actually going to be filling that gap pretty well. The other comparison is what does it do compared to an RST Hyperdrive? Overall, it's quicker, is what we're seeing, is that the Equinox Solid is overall supposed to be quicker than that RST Hyperdrive. But let's go down a little bit. We have the Solarion AI core, which we all know they don't have there, the numbers. 15 pounds, we have a 2.48 RG, 054 differential, 018 intermediate diff, very strong asymmetrical core, so stronger than what you would expect on some other weaker asymmetrical ball, so one of the stronger ones in the Storm lineup right now. The original Equinox was really good at the end of the day. There was a lot of worry and concern when it first got announced that it's a house shot bowling ball, and it still is that. It is a really good house shot ball. Stronger core, middle of the road cover stock, it is pearl, it just rolls really well when the lanes are a little bit cliffed. I actually have one. I really like mine. I drilled mine pinned down. Unfortunately, it's not as good as the pin-up versions, but still a really good ball at the end of the day. I've really liked it so far. We have nothing else below here. Sad. But we do have a little bit about that A2S technology, the main difference in this bowling ball. Continue to enhance the adhesion. Advanced cover stock pushes the limits of oil absorption. So the big thing with this ball is really quick oil absorption. They want this thing to be super fast in their absorption. That's something Storm's kind of been pushing lately. You had the level, you had the A1S, A2S, a lot of their stuff, they want to absorb oil quickly. That helps keep the cover stock dull for longer. That's kind of Motive's idea with a lot of their Duramax technology as well. So overall, A2S Solid generates sharp angular motion, a rare trait for a textured solid. Very interesting on that front that they wanted to make an asymmetrical solid that is still quicker down lane, that isn't too smooth and slow, doesn't roll forward when it sees friction. That's a problem you have with a lot of those big asymmetrical solids. Now, I think Storm is really good at avoiding that lately. The Ion Max is money. The RST Hyperdrive is really good. The Hyperdrive wants to roll a little more forward than the Ion Max, even though it's longer and a little quicker. But they want this Equinox Solid to be that bridge between your super, super strong asym solids and your stronger symmetrical solids. That's a gap that nobody else in bowling has filled, unfortunately. If you look at the Brunswick brands, we don't have anything there. They have nothing in that slot. They go directly to angular bowling balls or down to a stealth mode. You go to Motive, They don't really have much there either. Sub-Zero Forge is just way too strong to be that bridge between the two, and it acts more like an ASIM solid. So this is a ball that actually bridges a gap that we don't really have filled in the bowling world right now. So I really love to see that from Storm Bowling. That's really, really awesome to find. Also, fragrance, cherry apple slush. I'm really excited to smell that one. That sounds amazing. I'm a sucker for any kind of fruity scents. The ball does release 10/17 as well, so we do have 3 weeks as per usual before this ball releases. Right now, it doesn't look like we have any bowling balls that are releasing around that time. This might be the only release in that middle of October. Brunswick just released a bunch of stuff. They didn't announce anything in the last couple of days. Brunswick is trying to one-up Storm right now by releasing stuff a day before them. They've been doing it for a couple years, but they really tried this last time by cutting down their marketing window of their latest bowling balls. Storm always has that 3-week window between announcement and release date so that you can see ball reviews, you can see pros throwing it, staffers throwing it, etc., etc., etc. But overall, there isn't a crazy amount here. It's going to fit between the Ion Max and the Phase 2 if you like your Equinox Pearl. This can be a really good option as a ball above it. This can be used for League, especially Game 1. It'll be really good on a cliffed condition. That's where I think it will be best, is when the lanes get a little cliffy. So I think this is another good house shot bowling ball, especially that for those speed-dominant bowlers. Rev dominant, it sounds like they looked really good for Verity Crawley and Chris Vi. Of course, they're pros, so they can make a cement block roll really well down a lane. But I'm really hoping this is a good ball for balance bowlers as well. Rev dominant, again, it's going to be a little hairy. You probably don't need this much ball for a lot of league conditions. But if it's weak enough, you might be able to. So stay tuned for some ball reviews, and then we'll be able to tell where this thing actually is specifically going to fit. But overall, I do have Nothumb Nation up to check the price. Unfortunately, nobody in the industry actually has the Equinox Solid up on a website. None of the e-tailers, Nothumb Nation doesn't, and nobody did at the time of me recording, but it is only about 45 minutes after the ball was announced. The original Equinox, $200. It looks like this Equinox Solid is going to be the same exact price at that $200. Pretty typical for those strong ASIM solid bowling balls, especially from Storm. Anything asymmetrical, they're pretty much just clocking up to that maximum price point. Because there's nothing near this ball really in the industry right now, it fits. We don't really have a comparison, so being the only one, that seems kind of fair. Not really able to say, well, other bowling balls are cheaper than it at the same performance point because nothing's really going to be similar to this Equinox Solid, which is good to see. But overall, let me know down below what you think of this Equinox Solid. Let me know if you're excited for this ball. I'm very tempted to pick one up personally. I think this could be a pretty decent piece for me specifically. Being a ball down from something like my Jackal Onyx, it's a big gap I don't have filled right now. And I think this could be a really good ball in that position, especially for those cliff conditions or those heavier oil conditions. But otherwise, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this preview helped you. Really hope to help you either choose this ball or not choose this ball. The goal of these is 1, staying unbiased, and 2, being able to help you choose the right bowling ball for your game, not just every bowling ball. Remember, ball reviews that say this ball is the greatest for every bowling ball are not credible sources. Be ready for that. But otherwise, thank you. I will see you on the next one.